Let's go. So today we continue Max Johnson week, and this will be the most important video we do before the start of the season because I think Ed Orgeron needs to make one major philosophical change to help out this LSU offense. So you're looking at this play happen right now, and as we discussed yesterday, LSU led the SEC in 3 and outs. LSU was not really that great of an offense on a points per possession basis. They were just as bad as the defense. And on yesterday's film study, we talked about LSU potentially keeping their running back in on pass protection more often. So this was an incomplete pass to Kayshon Boutte. And what we're going to do on this play right here is not only break this one down, we're going to break down quite a few, okay? So a little bit later, I'm going to show you a defensive coordinator conversation that I had yesterday about third down. Why was LSU so bad on third down? And I do think it is something that LSU needs to work on, not only with their quarterbacks, not only with their offense, but just overall with their communication. So, as we've referenced yesterday, the big change. Long story short, if you want to just leave this video right now, I'm just going to go ahead and give you the meat. Ed Orgeron needs to be more aggressive on fourth down. And what we're going to show you today is how that can affect not only your quarterback, it can affect your overall play calling, which gives very important information to the opposing team's defensive coordinators. Okay, so in yesterday's film study, we talked about how LSU's running backs leaking out of the backfield. That was a big thing for 2019, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. No matter who LSU put back here, whether it was Kavontre Bradford or in this case Josh Williams, or, we did a full film study on John Emery's inability to pass protect. Unless it's Tydavis Price, it's hard to really rely on a personal protector. And at this point in the game, TDP was hurt. Anyway, it was Josh Williams here. And this time he decides, or LSU calls for him, to stay in on pass protection. So here is the major change, and why I think Ed Orgeron needs to be more aggressive on fourth down is, and this is where it's going to get very conceptual. There's not a real stat that I could share other than this one. Last year, LSU on 3rd and 7 and 8, and this is a stat via Statterdays.com, LSU was the worst team in college football on 3rd and 7 and 3rd and 8. And they were amongst the worst teams in college football as well on 3rd and 9 and 3rd and 10, okay? It is 3rd and 9, and as a quarterback right here, the LSU, Ed Orgeron needs to let Max Johnson know, and the coaching staff needs to let Max Johnson know that we just need to get some positive yardage here so we can make it a manageable fourth down or a more manageable field goal. But what Max Johnson decides to do, and he did this a lot, and we'll show you in just a second another play where this is the case, he did not look at this play as a 2-down territory type of play. Because if he did, okay, he steps up, he throws this ball to Kayshon, and it's not there, okay? This is Kier Elam. I know I didn't say his first name correct. This is their best defensive player. This isn't the worst play in the world. I don't mind throwing up a 50-50 ball to Kayshon and letting him make a play. But, as you guys will see here on this replay, there was 2 far better options here. Okay, now let's bring it back here. All right. Where should Max have gone with the football? And a lot of you brought this up in the live stream after the game, that Coy Moore was wide open here, but it probably shouldn't even have gone to Coy, okay? Where this ball needs to go 1,000% of the time is right here. Easy throw. I mean, look at this. He could have underhand tossed it. Cole would have caught it and ran for a first down, especially with Dre right here is a pretty solid blocker, and especially running this way. Cole catches this, and, man, that's easy first down. There's no way he's not getting to the 30 if you just hit him on this upfield shoulder. do want to show you this. Josh Williams did a really good job reading where this blitz was coming, and overall this protection was really good. I got to give the LSU offensive line a lot of credit. Liam Shanahan did a good job reading this twister, and he saw Ettinger was still locked in, and he worked over the top. That's really good play from all of these guys. Once again, I wish this was the LSU starting offensive line. I wish Dare was still here and Cam at right guard. The only thing was Josh Williams probably should have attacked here. So he got blown into Max Johnson just a little bit. It didn't really affect the throw. And here's the thing. Max could have sat in here and eventually thrown this ball to Coy, but that was tough because both of these guys left Coy because they saw how open Cole Taylor was, okay? So, if he throws this ball here, it's obviously an easy completion and down to the 20 or 15-yard line. And if Coy obviously makes this guy miss, it's a touchdown. But still, the ball needs to go right here, all right? Which leads us to what we're making this video about today. So, once again, I can't get into the mind of Max Johnson. I am obviously playing these plays at slow motion, and that obviously makes all of this a lot easier. But where this play could have been won, okay, is before the snap even began. In fact, before the drive even began. And this is where game managing becomes a big part of Ed Orgeron's repertoire, because I have been critical of Ed Orgeron's game management on this channel, whether it's timeout usage or whatever. Before the drive even begins, he should tell Steve Ensminger, we have 4 downs here because we want to score and put them away. We want to go score a touchdown and make this a 2-possession game and put Florida to sleep right now. Or, at the very least, get us into field goal range, okay? But that is not what happened here, okay? Of course, Max Johnson is a freshman quarterback, and you see you got the fog, you got the lights, it's the swamp, it's starting to get loud in there. But Max Johnson's a smart quarterback, okay? He is looking this way, and whether he's just locked in on this deep guy, it is still in his periphery. I'm not good at saying that word. It's still in his periphery that Cole Taylor's going to be wide open here. There's nobody within him. And Max could have just missed it. Those things happen. But he's looking this way. What I think happened to Max here, all right, is he was thinking, well, look, if I throw to Cole Taylor here, the first down marker is still 6 yards away, or 4 yards away, really, depending on where this ball would have gone. Either way, it wouldn't have been enough for a first down. And I think he passed off on Cole Taylor here because he knew Kayshon Boutte was running a route past the yard marker, okay? So he decided, instead of throwing a pass that's going to be completed 1,000% of the time, he decided to throw it into heavy coverage against their best corner. Now, once again, putting a jump ball up for Kayshon Boutte to make a play is never really just a horrible option. But it kind of is when this is there, okay? Especially if you know you have a pocket here, all right? Also, a sack is not the worst thing here if you think you guys are going to punt. So, really, this should be the throw 1,000% of the time. And if Cole Taylor gets tackled, who cares? We're in the middle of the field for a far easier make of a field goal, or we can go for it on 4th down. But what I think happened to Max Johnson, once again, only Max can answer this question, is he said, look, we need to get all the yards here because it's 3rd and 9 or else we're going to punt. Okay? So that's why 3rd down philosophy is so important. Because if Max Johnson was told before the drive, Max, we have 4 downs to get this, okay? Hit checkdowns if you're there. Let's make it a manageable 4th down. If he was told that, I doubt he passes over this. LSU wasn't that aggressive on 4th down. In fact, and this was one of our earlier episodes on the channel, was when we were still, numbering our episodes. It was episode 14. We're on a 4th and 1 in plus territory with the greatest quarterback of all time, a hot running back, and a wide receiver that had already converted a 4th down. we decided to punt the football back to Alabama, and that's when the Alabama comeback started to happen. More than likely, we would have converted that first down, kept the ball, and potentially scored a touchdown to make it a 4-possession game. Instead, we punted the football, and guess what happened? We allowed Alabama to get back into the game because of it. So LSU overall has got to be a more aggressive fourth down team. And now that I think about it, you look at this Ole Miss play where Max Johnson actually did hit his check down. He did hit an underneath route to Kayshon Boutte. Kayshon took it down to, I believe, the 21-yard line, and it was 4th and 1. And LSU, instead of kicking a field goal, decided to be aggressive, and it paid off with a touchdown. And that was because Max Johnson took the underneath route instead of forcing the football into heavy coverage. Alrighty, here we go. It's 3rd and 16 here. And once again, just to follow up what we just talked about, I mean, look, we're down by 20. All right, so we got to start scoring. And, you got to start doing some simple math as well. So in the course of a college football game, you get anywhere from 13 to 15 possessions. So if you're down by 3 possessions, you're roughly going to get only 3 or 4 more possessions in this game anyway. So obviously we don't want to punt here, all right? And look, it's 3rd and 16 with 12:35 left to go. I don't know why LSU punted so much. They did this against Auburn as well. We don't want to punt when we're losing by this much, okay? Even though our pass protection, full disclosure, had, this was the worst performance I've ever seen an LSU offensive line have. But ironically, on this play, the pass protection was not bad. But you'll see here, it's 3rd and 16. Well, Jason Hines, I mean, goodness. He was okay there. We throw this football into double coverage, and it should have been intercepted. So I want to show you the end zone angle here, okay? So pre-snap, it is 3rd and 16, and we are down by 20, okay? So as a quarterback, and once again, is a true freshman quarterback, so LSU might have taught Max Johnson this, kind of like what we talked about in a play a minute ago. They might have told Max Johnson, hit your check down. But in this scenario, when they are dropping this deep on 3rd and 16, and they are dropping everybody deep, we do not want to throw this football. Once again, Jason Hines is getting blown out of there again. Still, we do not want to throw this football deep. Instead, we just want to hit our check down, okay? If you hit Cole Taylor here, he is picking up no less than 10 yards. He might even get the first down if he makes this guy miss. But instead, we throw this football here, which should have been intercepted. This is a really, 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 really bad throw. But Max Johnson is forcing it simply because he thinks here that I need to get all the yardage on this play, which is not what you want to do. You want to hit your check down and make this a very manageable 4th down situation, okay? Now, as this ball goes through the hands again of the Texas A&M defender, I do have some good news on a very similar 3rd and long situation. Max Johnson actually did hit a check down, Kayshon Boutte against Alabama, and LSU was able to set up a manageable 4th down, and they were able to get it. So that is good. That shows you that Max Johnson, when Alabama's defenders sunk way back on a 3rd and long, he hit the underneath, set up a manageable 4th down. So that is what LSU should be doing. And maybe LSU told Max Johnson this in film study, because obviously the Texas A&M game was a game right before the Alabama game, and Max Johnson hit Kayshon on a drag, but here, you got to just hit it right here, okay? So, as you guys know, like we brought up on the first play, if LSU had told Max Johnson before that Texas A&M drive, look, we're down 20-0, we are in 4-down territory, don't force anything on 3rd and long, let's make it a manageable 4th, he would have just hit his check down there to Cole Taylor, okay? So now let's actually go to the famous play where Max Johnson did hit his check down underneath the route to Cole Taylor, okay? And obviously, this is one of the most famous plays in LSU history. You see here 8 for 17 on third down, so LSU was actually better than what they normally were on third down, 2:15 left to go. And obviously Max Johnson is getting the play call in. And you're probably watching this film study today, and you're probably thinking, well, Carter's just saying hit your check down every single time. Don't even think. Well, that's not what I'm saying here. Now, let me show you this, okay? And what I'm about to show you is going to completely change the way you probably view this play. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. So we get here, and it's clear that Florida is in a very soft zone. So it's pretty clear that they're not going to bring anything exotic. Of course, they can bring a delayed blitz. So the read here is fairly simple for Max Johnson. They're sitting back into coverage, and once he sees this, boom, I'm just going to hit my check down here. Okay? So Max Johnson actually does what he should have done on the first play, which is just hit Cole Taylor right here, or like what he should have done against Texas A&M. But this is where being a true freshman hurt Max Johnson, and this is where advanced quarterbacking really has to start to set in. Let's go back to the start of the play here, and this is a scenario where Max Johnson, with a clean pocket here, on 3rd and 10 deep in your own territory, should have been more aggressive and not taking his check down. Now, why shouldn't he have not thrown the football here? Well, if he would have gone through his progressions with this clean pocket, and hopefully we get to see this from Max next season. Once again, what I'm about to show you is really difficult for a true freshman on the road in the swamp. This would have been a really tough throw for an inexperienced quarterback to make. But what a veteran quarterback would have done is sat in this clean pocket, took advantage of going through progressions. First read, not there. Second read, not there. You see, he still would have had plenty of time. And if he would have worked backside to Kayshon Boutte, boom. First down. Right there. Check down is not a bad option, especially if you're looking into the situation as you're going to go for it on 4th down. Knowing if you punt the football back that they're probably going to score, that's actually fine. But if we base it off what LSU normally does and what Max normally does, he should have sat, progressed, gone 1, 2, backside 3. But it's hard when you have that much room ahead of you right there. And then obviously we get this right here. Okay? So the check down isn't always the right move. Okay? And of course, who can forget? And I like that he's flexing and the flag is thrown. Oh my goodness, this is absolutely fantastic. So there you go. The check down isn't always the right option, but once again, in that situation with the truth, that's so tough to go 1 read, 2 read, 3 read, especially with an offensive line that had been shaky. But still, once again, you see how difficult all of this is. And once again, we're watching these plays in slow motion. But in that scenario, you're getting a replay here, especially in this scenario when it's 3rd and 10 and you're backed up and you're likely going to punt. This is where Max Johnson probably should have been a little bit more aggressive to try and pick up a first down to one of these 3 options. Okay, and then you can always come back over here. Okay? But still, there you go. You see how difficult quarterbacking is. And you see why the head coach really needs to help out the offensive coordinator, and why, if, as an offensive coordinator, you could be hamstrung as a play caller, okay? And I don't know if I'm going to have time to get to these cuts, but hopefully right now you're looking at a 3rd and 10. LSU had against Mississippi State. They are down by 10 in the 4th quarter in this scenario. And what LSU decides to do, when you're down by 10, you have to be really aggressive on 4th down. So Mississippi State knew that LSU had been punting a lot on 4th down. So what did Zach Arnett decide to do? He decided to bring a heavy blitz, thinking that LSU was going to run all deep routes. And guess what? You just don't have time to protect it. And Miles Brennan got sacked. And Zach Arnett knew, because LSU doesn't go for it on fourth down, and it was 3rd and 10, and they were down by 10, that they were likely going to run a lot of deep routes. So he ran an aggressive blitz that he knew would get home, because the time it takes for those routes to get open on the back end it would give you enough time to get a sack, especially against an offensive line that had been struggling. I'll show you this conversation I had with a defensive coordinator who is still currently coaching, and I asked him, what do you think about head coaches you go up against that aren't aggressive on fourth down? And I brought up that scenario, and he said, yeah, exactly. It makes it a lot easier. You know that on third and long, that's a down that they would likely try a trick play, or they would try something out of the ordinary to get all the yards back, okay? But you see how thinking you're going to punt every time can really affect your play calling, okay? Instead of thinking you have 4 downs, you only have 3 to pick up the first, and then it affects your quarterback's decision-making and all of that. So I personally, if I was a head coach, not only does the analytics community tend to support a more aggressive fourth down mindset, I just believe conceptually it brings so much more to your offense. In fact, it makes things easier on your offense and your defense in many ways. So next season, I would like to see LSU become more aggressive on fourth down, and I think it would pay dividends for them next season. So obviously, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I hope Ed Orgeron, once again, he knows way more about football than I do. I hope he is more aggressive on fourth down next season, because I think it would help out LSU greatly. It is. Oh yeah, by the way, part 1 and part 2 for Max Johnson Week is linked down below. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom. We're doing salmon part 2 tonight. Let's go.